Alright folks, welcome to the very first ever live video edition of That Shooting Show. My name is Steve Anderson, I am your humble host. This is the best song ever. Alright, this is That Shooting Show. My name is Steve Anderson. I am your humble host. With me right now is the famous pod daughter who was going to go upstairs and do children things in her children's room but could not resist the opportunity to be on camera. Isn't that right?
Yeah.
Where's your hat?
I took it off.
Put that hat back on.
No.
That's an order. Come on. Now everything's correct. So, Arik Levy messaged me a couple days ago, and he said, hey, I got a great idea for you. And I thought, oh, great, here comes some more advice about how to make the podcast more professional. What he said was, you should do a video podcast. So we sort of scrambled one together, and we're going to try this and see how it works. It only took us about 37 minutes to prepare for it, right, Haley?
Yes.
We had to move the dog. At some point, Rogue will come over and say hi, probably.
Probably.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes. All right, let's do the news. First of all, we do have some spots in Savannah, Georgia, August 24th and 25th. Savannah, Georgia, Tampa, Florida, October 5th and 6th. If you want to get it on those, send me an email, steve@andersonshooting.com, and we'll get you hooked up with the class sponsors and get you pointed in the right direction. All right, well, so we have some marketing news. Mrs. Anderson has decided she wants to give away a shirt and hat with every 3-book combo. So if you don't have all 3 books, Mrs. Anderson has decided she's going to send you a she's going to send you a free T-shirt and match mode patch with that. Haley, let's take a look at what that would look like. Oh, look at that. She's got them all ready to go. So that's an Anderson Shooting match mode T-shirt and, of course, the match mode patch, El Freebo, with the 3-book combo. The 3-book combo will include Refinement Repetition, the world's greatest, the world's first, the world's most innovative dry fire book ever. It will also feature Principles of Performance, featuring me trying very hard to look like Neo from The Matrix. I am Mr. Anderson. I am the one. I do have orange hair in that photograph. Anytime somebody says to me they don't like that cover of that book, I have a witty little comeback. I always say, can I see the cover of your second book so we can compare the two? Ha ha, that's exactly right. I'm your rock star, baby. Now you can see exactly what happens during the music breaks, along with some unfortunate impromptu dancing. All right, let's talk about Targets USA, makers of the finest steel targetry on the planet. Jason Wood is going to give you 20% off your bulk order, one invoice, one address, coinciding with a class in your area. We'd love to get that done for you. Go to Targets USA, get that squared away, or you can email me for more information, steve@andersonshooting.com. Also, I want to show you, we talk about these a bunch, but now I can actually show you the glorious CR Speed mag pouches. Now, this was custom made for me by Taz Reska. Yours probably will not have Van Halen stripes, but I do. I am the owner of the world's greatest CR Speed mag pouches. You get your mag out right there, index fingers high and straight, goes right into the gun, no problem. As you know, all you have to do is get your index finger high and straight and see the mag well, and your reloads will be wonderful. If you don't do either one of those two things, you're asking for trouble. So CR Speed, Targets USA, check them out. All right, we got a first letter. You got to sit still.
I know.
You can't be doing like Kathy Bates and the Waterboy and dancing around and all that stuff. Just sit still and be productive.
I know.
Can you be productive?
Yes.
All right, let's be productive. All right, here we go. By the way, I've called your school. Summer break's been canceled. You got to go back to school tomorrow at 5 a.m. Just saying. And we're going to drop you off tonight at midnight so you're there on time. Just saying. Hi, Steve. Ty Creason, a good IDPA buddy of mine, told me about your podcast. He recently took a class with you and had all great things to say. I just placed my book order on your website after listening to several episodes of your podcast. I have no real dry fire regiment and know if I want to progress to master level shooting, I have to do it. Yes, that's very true. If you don't have a regular practice schedule that you meet or exceed, you're probably not going to make any progress at all. I know that sounds overly simplistic, but I talk to a lot of folks who don't. What are you doing?
Nothing.
Who don't have. See, I can block you right there with the letter. Now problem solved. Look at that. Oh, yes. And the problem is back. And the problem is solved. And the problem is back. But you do need a regular practice schedule, heavy on dry fire, of course. Let's see. In just a short amount of time I've listened to your show, I have picked up so much valuable information. I just shot a match over the weekend, and many of the gems you dropped on your podcast ran through my mind as I went through the stages. One valuable lesson I learned and paid for on the stage was shot calling and trusting your sights. I was shooting pretty good, all things considered, when I totally screwed the pooch on one of the easier stages. Do you know what that means, screwed the pooch?
No.
Made a big mistake. I visualized my run, tried to keep my mind in match mode, and on the shot timer, I engaged the first 3 targets that were easily within 7 yards. As I shot the last one, I made the mistake to visually confirm my hits on the cardboard, and to my horror, I could not see any hits. I felt like I had acceptable sight pictures, and these were all easy shots, so I mentally freaked out. I re-engaged the first 2 targets with another 2 shots each, which threw off my planned slide lock reload and entire game plan. I ended up having to do 2 reloads instead of 1, and took way longer to finish the stage than needed, all because of a lack of trust and a lack of vision. So a lot of people, they'll go through there and they'll want to check their work over the gun. You know, maybe they've got a difficult segment or what they think is a difficult segment, and they're like, pew, 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 pew. They look over the gun and check their work. Well, not only does that waste time, but if you're wrong about what you think you saw, it can cause you to do all manner of dumb stuff. As in, I re-engaged the first 2 targets with another 2 shots each, which threw off my planned slide lock reload and entire game plan. I ended up having to do 2 reloads instead of 1, and took way longer to finish the stage than needed. When we went back to count the hits, I realized my original shots were all zeroed down hits, and I just couldn't see them because of the way the sun was hitting the targets. You go check on Rogue, please. Yeah, he probably needs to go out. See, normally a rogue outage would involve a show pausage, but because we have an assistant, no such problems. We might get to see Rogue here in a little bit, by the way. But he checked his work. He didn't see any hits. He thought he had 2 mics. He didn't trust what he saw when he shot it, and he went back and did it again. And he continues, if I had trusted my sights and shot calling, I would have hauled ASS, and we can say that with Haley out of the room. I would have hauled ass after engaging the 3rd target as originally planned. Pardon me 1 second. And knocked off a lot of time from my score. Lesson learned. I screwed up some other stuff too, but this one really stood out to me because I just listened to you talk about this exact thing. Ended up taking 1st in my division class and 2nd overall in my division, so it was a good match for me, but saw so many places I could improve. Looking forward to getting my hands on your book. Keep up the great work and all that you do. Thank you very much, sir, for that. Now please go forth and err no more.
You best remember that ever since I quit my job and got a Fender Strat, you can sing along on your radio while I'll be backstage signing autographs for crazy hoes. When I see you, we'll shout and forget all about every word you got in the world. 'Cause I'm your rock star, baby. I'm your rock star, baby. Ooh, your very own rock star, baby. I'm your rock star, baby. Yeah.
All right, we'll leave that right there for the guitar solo, which will be with us very, very shortly. This also is a original tune by my band Slam Circus. It is Rockstar. It's the greatest song ever written. We're not doing Van Halen right now because on the YouTube they might notice what they would consider to be slight copyright infringement. In my mind, it's just a brief review for a brief excerpt for review and commentary. In their mind, it's copyright infringement. So we'll do music I own the copyright to. Wrote the song, played the song, loved the song. And we have Rogue. There's Rogue, the giant Great Dane, coming in to coming in to do some stuff there. Wonderful. All right, let's do the next letter. What happened to the light? Oh, perfect. I recently purchased your Refinement Repetition Dry Fire book and feel that it is improving my shooting immensely. Are we still recording?
Yeah.
Okay, thank goodness. Whew. All right, got to have a little helpful child here to run the tech. Recently purchased your Refinement Repetition Dry Fire book and feel that it is improving my shooting immensely. I missed your recent class at M160 in North Texas, but hope you hold another one there soon. Probably will do that next year. I'm a right-handed shooter. Wow, that's exciting. Good grief. I'm a right-handed shooter. When shooting strong hand, I normally have my right foot forward at least a few inches and my weight mostly on the forward foot. Vice versa when shooting weak hand. My question about strong weak hand shooting stance is, which of the following do you recommend, if any? Hips square to the target? A. Hips offset. For example, a right-handed shooter shooting strong hand might have the right leg forward and allow the hips to rotate so that they point left of the target. Hey, you gotta be quiet.
I know, he's trying to bite me.
Ow! Oh, punched me right in the face. Wow. Okay. Hips offset, for example. A right-handed shooter shooting strong hand might have the right leg forward and allow the hips to rotate so that they point left. That they point left of the target. This allows for a more of an arm extension and a more natural feeling stance, at least for me. Or C, whatever works for the shooter. So, sir, I think you had it right to begin with there. Couple things on strong hand, weak hand. You're going to want the hand that's shooting, you're going to want that foot out in front. I like a little bit of a cant. Like you'll notice when I extend my arm here, it's naturally canted. You normally don't extend your hand straight forward like that. It normally be canted just a little bit. People do disagree on that. Try them both and see which one you like better. I also believe that it's important to shoot in when you're shooting one-handed. So when you're shooting right-handed, you'll shoot right to left. Shooting left-handed, you'll shoot left to right. That would be if there's not a vision barrier and all the targets are visible. If there is a vision barrier involved, you're going to shoot them in the order that you can see them, just like you normally would. But as far as the feet concerned, let's get the feet out in front. I don't do a whole bunch of analysis below the waist. I feel like if we get that the shooting foot forward, all that other stuff solves it on its own. And when you're drawing to your strong hand, my personal preference is to take a slight step back with the weak foot to get the strong foot out in front. If it's comfortable to you to start with your right foot forward, you can certainly do that. That might actually technically be better. For me, I prefer to have my left foot forward in my normal stance, and then as I'm extending that right arm, just drag that left foot back a little bit. Okay? All right. But whatever you do, make sure you practice it a bunch. Strong hand, weak hand shooting is an easy place to gain an advantage over people who don't practice it. And you definitely want to go into that being calm and prepared and not freaking out about it. You got anything under control back there?
Yeah.
Okay. Trying to run a professional podcast with a pod daughter and a pod Dan is always hard work, but we will excel at that. Here we go.
What if none of it's true?
You can dance if you want to.
And I'm just an average guy. If I ain't telling the truth,
What's professional?
ask yourself, why would I lie?
Oh, okay.
You'll just wait
Till the star burns out and buy my records up when I die. Here's a guitar solo. It's me. Isn't that the best guitar solo you've ever heard?
Sure.
Phenomenal.
I've heard better.
Ooh, by who?
You?
That was me.
No way.
Yeah, it was. That's me.
Then you've improved.
Fantastic. All right, and on to the topic. Good morning, Steve. When walking a stage, keep an eye on him. He's on the move. The puppy's gone rogue. Good morning, Steve. When walking a stage or reviewing a PDF of a stage, could you please define for me what are you analyzing? What are you strategizing? What are you trying to memorize? And what are you visualizing? All right, so you see we have extensive show prep here. Anal, Strat, Mem, Viz. And we're going to go through this very, very detailed with a Sean Hannity level of specificity. Now, number one, it's super important that you treat every stage exactly the same. It's not that we treat major matches too seriously, it's that we don't treat local matches seriously enough. You go through a local match with your grabassery and your tomfoolery, and then you get to a major match, you take everything much more seriously, and you can't figure out why it's different. Well, it's different because it's different. Okay, you gotta do that quietly. Please.
You got scared by the belt buckle.
Okay. Well, keep him under control, but please do it quietly. Okay? Thank you very much. All right, so you need to do every stage of every match exactly the same way every single time. This will solve everybody's biggest complaint, which is usually consistency. So let's start with the analysis. Number one, start with a written stage briefing. Don't rely on your competitors to tell you the number of rounds. Don't rely on them to tell you where the targets are. Make sure you discover that stuff all yourself. You may not be able to trust them, and it may not be wise to assume that they're there to help you. Ask me about that sometime, and I'll tell you all about how I learned that one. But work from the written stage briefing. Number one, make sure you know what the round count is, and make sure that you find every target. This is very, very crucial from the written stage briefing. If you have any questions about the 180 or if the 180 is not clear, ask the RO for details about that and have him define it for you. My good friend Shanae got burned in South Africa by a 180 that was not the same on the range as it was on the stage. So she did suffer a DQ on that, and that's an excellent lesson. Find the 180. Let's make sure we're still recording here, and we are. Find the 180 and make sure you know it. If there's something you plan to do that you think might counter that 180 or be an issue, just ask the RO. Hey, is it cool if I do this from here and this from here? Most ROs will be very, very cool about that. Sorry about the noise there. That's a Great Dane's butt hitting the desk. All right, and also the start position. Make sure you understand the start position. Don't be one of those wieners that gets up to the line. He's walked the stage, and all of a sudden he doesn't know the start position. He's like, what is it? Hands at sides. But you need to have that done before you get there. You know, you don't want your final. Wow, that's RX gonna love that. Way to be professional, Anderson. You got a Great Dane and a Van Halen hat. Works out real nice. Way to go. Nice idea. All right. And then when you're looking at the stage and you know the start position, you found every target and all the rest of it, the next question is, where are they making me go? You can normally tell the match director is going to make you do some things, and it should be pretty apparent where he's going to make you go. Don't go places he's not going to make you go. Don't do things that you don't have to do. Make sure that you're only going where you need to go, doing only what you need to do. All right, so that takes care of most of the analysis. Next is the strategizing. All right, so your stage has a mandated or logical beginning, and it has a logical end. Your job is to find the most efficient route between those two things, between the mandated, or that's not straight, there we go, between the mandated or logical beginning and the logical end. You want to minimize your stops and your stopping. Most folks go to stages and they start asking themselves, where am I going to stop? I want you to go to a stage and ask, why do I have to stop? And we want to minimize the stops and the stopping. Okay? And by this time, once you've got your logical route figured out, you want to start looking at your reloads. Many of you will reload every time you move, and that's wonderful. Some of you will only reload once. That's fine, too. You want to start working on that as soon as you can, along with a contingency plan for makeups. It's not so much about counting shots. it's about counting makeups. You'll want to go into every magazine with a known number of makeups that will require you to do a reload. And you'll usually want to get back into your normal reload sequence after a makeup reload. Most people are not able to do an extra reload and then sort of figure that out. You're normally better off doing the extra reload if you need to. That's an unfortunate thing to see right there. Hey, stop. Haley, you can't kick the table, kiddo. All right, you're going to have to get out from under him somehow.
I'm trying.
I know, you're in bad trouble there.
I
Okay.
was trying to get him on the camera and he was squishing my face.
I understand. Well, maybe you should just leave him alone. Okay? Try to be quiet. All right? Unfortunately, you guys got to watch Haley getting mauled by the Great Dane. Here we go. Let's get right back into it. Strategizing will include your reloads with contingency plans for makeups. And also, you want to find a way through that stage that plays to your strengths and minimizes your weaknesses. If you're really good shooting on the move, make sure you're able to do that. If there's something that you're not quite so good at, you want to minimize that and stick to the things that you do well if and when you can. For example, if you're better shooting right to left and you can make that work, that's cool. Just don't do anything dumb. It's just so you can shoot from right to left. I watched a shooter of questionable intelligence one time run 20 yards prior to the start of the stage so that he could shoot the targets left to right instead of right to left. He claimed he was better shooting left to right, and he was worried about breaking the 180. Well, all that may be true, but running 20 yards in order to do that before you ever start shooting is not very smart, okay? So play to your strengths, minimize your weaknesses, but don't do dumb stuff. If there's movers and activators, make sure you look at that sequencing. You can get a lot done by the time a popper falls, more so than you think. So look for opportunities to maximize that. And as you're walking the stage, always be seeking to predict what's next. This is a great way to start memorizing. Pardon me one second. It's a great way to start memorizing the stage. If you can simply try to predict what's next as you're walking through there, you're beginning that memorization process early and getting that thing on its way. Number 7, find places to start shooting sooner, move more, stop less, and finish sooner. Now, all that seems maybe overly simplistic, but anytime you have a decision to make, for example, if your start position allows you to go left or right, which one allows you to start shooting sooner? Anytime you're not shooting, your hit factor is 0. You want to minimize that dead time. Which plan allows you to shoot more? Which plan and by that I mean more without stopping. Which plan allows you to stop less, stop shooting less, and stop moving less? And ultimately, what will help you finish sooner? A lot of you guys are worried too much about doing things fast and not enough about doing things soon. Sooner is always faster. And as you're walking that stage, find a way to contribute to leaving every position. It can be as simple as picking up a foot. Sometimes you want to back up a little bit, but as you walk the stage and you leave every area, find a way to contribute to leaving as you are doing that. All right, now, so that takes care of most of the strategizing. Now, as you're walking that stage, you want to begin making suggestions to your body of things that you want to do. You don't ever want to tell yourself to do things, like if you're working on a new technique, you don't want to say to yourself, okay, gun high, body low, gun high, body low. Hold it out there in front. Keep it above my chest. Make sure you run really fast. That laundry list of things to do will wind up getting into your head and taking the place of the shooting that you should be thinking about. That's one of the reasons why we do memorize the stage, so we don't have to think about those things, don't have to be consciously navigating, can just be shooting. So all the little things you want to do, you're going to suggest to your body during the walkthrough. Okay, one of the things you're going to suggest is if you have a known wide transition, make sure you're setting up with your feet pointed at the widest parts of that transition. For example, if your feet are straight forward, it's going to be very awkward shooting this way and very awkward shooting this way. If your feet are nice and wide, that opens up that index. And in future video installments of that shooting show, we'll actually show you what that looks like. We didn't have enough time to get the entire full-length studio prepared today, so you get what you get and you don't throw a fit. I'm anticipating so much hate mail. I liked your video, Anderson. Why don't you try a real studio next time? Get the Great Dane out of there. Oh, okay. So that's it for strategy for the most part. Now, the memorization. What you need to do is make a silent movie of what you are going to do. A first person silent movie of what you are going to do. Every single target needs to be in that visualization. You can't just memorize fields of targets. You can't just say, okay, this third aperture, I'm going to have some number of steel targets. You need to know what that number is. You need to be able to close your eyes and see every single one of those. And the easiest way to memorize, as you're walking that stage, just try to predict what's next. You're following your conga line through there. Somebody's jammed up in an aperture. Just close your eyes and try to imagine what's next. Like if I think about my sample stage. From the class we do. The very first shot's a steel popper at 20 yards. I can see that no problem. Now I'm going to run forward with my gun nice and high. I'm going to decelerate as I come toward the first target on the left, get him on the way in, and there's a guy right on the inside of that wall right there. Now my conga line's jammed up here going into the next aperture. So now I'm going to seek to visualize what's next. What I think is next is just the world's greatest Christmas gift right here on the inside, a barrel and then 2 more targets. So I walk over there. Sure enough, I see the target I was anticipating. I see a barrel and I see 2 more targets. I was able to memorize that because as I walk through that conga line, I'm seeking to predict what I'm going to see next. That's the greatest way to memorize a stage. Every time your conga line backs up, just seek to predict what is next. And then the visualization. The visualization is just playing that movie over and over and over again until it's your time to shoot. And that's the part that most people miss out on. They sort of walk it, and if they can see it, they'll just look at it over and over and over again. They'll stand there and, oh yeah, I'm looking at the stage. Yeah, it looks good. And I'll say to them, why don't you close your eyes and visualize that? What do you mean? I'm standing right here. I can see it. It's not the same thing. Okay? Looking at a stage is not the same thing as closing your eyes and visualizing everything you are going to do. That's the power of the visualization. It programs your mind for what you are going to do, not what you think you're going to do, not what you hope you're going to do. Those of you that suffer from brain farts are most likely having those brain farts because you're not visualizing. A properly prepared brain cannot fart.
Rockstar, baby. I'm your rockstar, baby. Ooh, your very own rockstar, baby. I'm your rockstar, baby. Well, I'm your rockstar, baby, and I'll tell you why. I'm from the coolest dude on earth since Jimi Hendrix died. I'm your rockstar, baby. I'm your rockstar, baby. Rockstar,
I really do feel like that's the greatest hard rock song ever written. Right up there with Back in Black, right up there with Welcome to the Jungle, right up there with Hot for Teacher. I'm super, super proud of that one. All right, let's review and recap and prepare for the catchy catchphrase. Number 1, the first thing you do is analyze from the written stage briefing. Get the round count, find every target, define the 180, look at the start position, and ask yourself, where do I have to go and what do I have to do? When you start strategizing, the mandate or logical beginning to the logical end. And by the way, I believe a full speed walkthrough is only necessary in a couple of conditions. Number 1, if you have a decision to make about should I go this way or should I go that way, timing that full speed walkthrough can help you make that decision. Also, if you're worried about if the angles are tight, if you got some windows and doors in there and things like that, and you're worried about overrunning those, you might consider doing a full speed walkthrough of those to find out what kind of shape you're going to be in when you get there so you don't wind up overrunning those positions. Make sure that you're minimizing your stops and your stopping. Ask yourself not where am I going to stop, but why do I have to? Be sure and put your reloads in there and get those things done early in your movie. Try to find a way to play to your strengths, minimize your weaknesses. Look at movers and activators and determine what you can get done while that activator's falling. Now, remember, a lot of that is also due to shot calling. If you're having to watch steel fall, you're not going to be able to get a whole lot done while it's falling. But if you can call that shot, you've got a lot of stuff you can get done before that activator activates. It's really, really fun to do. It's one of the coolest things about higher level shootings, all that stuff you can get done while the activator activates. As you're walking the stage, Anytime your conga line jams up, seek to predict what is next. Okay? Find ways to start shooting sooner, to shoot more without stopping, stopping less, and finishing sooner. Find a way to contribute to leaving every position. And make these suggestions to your body while you're walking the stage. We want the gun high generally. We want the body low generally. And please do not stand up when you stop. You're going to come in kind of low, kind of crouched. Well, make sure you start shooting in that low crouch position. Don't get yourself all stood up. This takes a ton of time to go from nice low entries to all the way stood up. When we watch people do that, normally a quarter of a second, 0.3 of a second, sometimes more than that. And if we have a known wide transition, make sure you walk the stage with your feet nice and wide. In that wide transition, you'll find yourself much more comfortable. And then, as you're walking the stage, again, just seek to predict what's next. Close your eyes and see if you can seek to predict what you're going to see next. Do this one aperture at a time until you can do the whole stage. And then finally, you must visualize that entire plan until it's your turn to shoot. That is crucial. I watched Max Michel prepare. I've told you guys this story numerous times. I watched Max Michel prepare to shoot the final stage of Nationals. And he prepared for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, something like that. He memorized it. He air gunned it. He closed his eyes and visualized it some more. He went over to the band next door and actually visualized it and pantomimed going through it with his gun at the safe area, perfectly fine. Did the whole stage over there, and I could actually watch him air gunning the parts of the stage that I'd watched him walk through before. I could tell where he was at in the stage by his air gunning. He did this with his gun out at the safe area. It's perfectly legal, perfectly fine. Okay? And he came over to the other bay and did it again at that safe area. Then he went back over and did it in line with everybody else. He never stopped visualizing. And I can't tell you if he won the stage or not. I don't remember. But I can tell you he won the match. And he was leading by a comfortable but not huge margin going in. All he needed was a good, clean run. Didn't need to burn it down, didn't need to win it. And I watched so many people go after him, rush and try and hurry and fail. Watch them swing for the fences and make massive errors, overrunning short little angles and things like that because they had the pedal all the way down, massive amounts of rushing, trying and hurry. But I firmly believe on that particular stage, and every stage for that matter, it was Max's visualization that really put him in control of that stage. Exactly what he was going to do instead of what he was hoping to do or trying to do or any of the rest of it. So the visualization is the most important part. And I also want to tell you guys worry too much about stage strategy. I get a lot of letters on stage strategy. You guys worry about it far too much. The stage strategy, I think, is the most important, is the stage preparation. And let's say you have a B+ plan that has an A+ execution. That's so much better than an A+ plan with a D- execution, which is what some of you guys are getting now. So instead of worrying so much about the stage planning, let's worry more about the stage preparation. Let's get a plan together pretty quickly. Let's not agonize over it too much, and let's spend far more time preparing to shoot than we do worrying about stage strategy. Okay? Hope that examines and enlightens Anal Strat Mem Viz. Of course, those are the cornerstones of match mode, and you can see right here. The knobs are analyze, strategize, memorize, and visualize. We have trust and vision fully engaged. And again, you get a 3-book combo. Mrs. Anderson will send you a free t-shirt and a free match mode patch. Right there we have it. All right, folks, hope you enjoyed today's video show. Do a little bit more music and then the catchy catchphrase. This is one of my favorite parts of the song. So the song Rockstar is about... I came up with it after one of the latest celebrities had died. When I used to work in record stores, Whitney Houston dies. Everybody in the world's the biggest Whitney Houston fan in the world. When Prince died, everybody was the biggest Prince fan in the world. And my thing is, why don't we take care of our rock stars now instead of waiting for them to die to buy up all their records? And that's where this little line came from.
None of it's true, and I'm just an average guy. If I ain't telling the truth, ask yourself, why would I lie? You'll just wait till the star burns out and buy my records up when I die.
All right, folks, hope you enjoyed today's show. Until we meet again, be like me, do what I do, say it with me, get to work.